Professor R.S. Pagar, studying chemistry, MD Arts, BW Commerce and Science College, Shinnur. Now in the TYBSC in Industrial Chemistry, there is one chapter is the Agrochemicals. It containing the topic is there, plant growth regulators. Plant growth regulators are plant growth hormones. This is very essential chemical substances that have to be used today in the modern agriculture industries. Their proper growth of cells, tissues and organs. For example, gibberellic acid, indolactic acid, cytokinins, creatine. These are some types of the agrochemicals which are used today very large scale. Why the plant growth regulators have the number of types of the uses are there. For example, they are increase the early germination of the seeds and stimulate root development. It may be the accelerate the rate of ripening of the fruits and grains. It also prevents fruit from dropping of plants or trees ripening. It may be provide the industry the biggest market. Maybe produce seedless fruits and control rotting of the potatoes. These are some types of the there is a uses of the in the plant growth hormones are there. They are used in the agriculture industries by developments, by fruits are there, vegetables are there, well as some types of the there is a plant species, flowers are there. So it get a very good yield because of the plant growth hormones that's supposed to be used. For example, gibberellic acid is one of the types is there, so that have to be manufactured in India. By there is a using as plant growth hormones are there. These are some types of the examples are there. Indolactic acid, well as gibberellic acid and their family. It is one of the heterocyclic compound that have to be attached by the different types of functional group, and it also have the different rates of the development as well as plants as well as their vegetable. Spray on their like their surface, and it is also is there like the development. Like in the fruits are having the present in different types of the cells that elongated in the plant growth hormones. There are also the rate of the development in presence of the sunlight by synthesis process have to be increased. Is the good types of the there is a development. It also observed. Elastic acid is also there. That also the to generate the positive geotropisms. This have to be there. Fruits have to be very fast development takes place. At the good of the there is a period of the maturity to be developed. Now, another part is included in your syllabus, that is the pesticide formulation. Now, generally the formulation of the pesticide is very essential because you know that in industry have to be manufactured in different types of pesticide. That pesticide is very active form. That pesticides are very concentrate form, and that generally chemically they are supposed to be unstable. Very difficult to handle, store, and it may be the transportation. This is very difficult because that have to be in concentrated form. This is not like to be controlled by environmental condition, and hence the pesticide formulation is to be used. Some of the types of there is a inorganic types of the salt is there, some types of the chemicals are there, some types of the catalysts are there, and it has to be mixing in that major ingredients in the pesticides. It does not have to be like to suppress their activity, but it is a protected activity, but it is a diluted that like to be stable in the form of the formulated materials that's supposed to be used. Now in the formulateds that have to be different types of the materials which is there, solid material, liquid material that's supposed to be used. Pesticide is very active ingredient and it is not like to control in the environmental condition. There are also the carriers such as organic solvent, minerals, clay that also have to be added. well as some of the surface active ingredients, stickers are there, spreaders are there, that are the stabilizer, dyes, chemical that also improve the there is the activity of the that pesticide, but it does not affect it. This also take the more precaution by that formulation process. It is nothing but the diluted process of that concentrated pesticide directly used, and that is to be harmful in the plants also, fruits also, vegetable also. It should have to be formulated by using of the suitable types of the reagents that's supposed to be there. Now, what about the process of the formulation? Now, generally, the ingredients in pesticide has different sources. For example, nicotine, there is a pyrethroxine or rotenone, and it has extracted from plants. Like the copper, sulfur, these are some types of the salts, zinc also. There also the salts is there by the formulation. While some of the microorganisms that also in the different types of the microorganism they are also using for the formulation. Majority of the active ingredients made in the laboratories by synthetic active ingredient, they are very useful and used by the formulation process. Now generally formulation it has to be in the different types which is related by the what types of the material you like to be formulated, that also in the different conditions, well as different types of the solvent, different types of the sources is supposed to be taken by in the form of the formulation. How this formulation are having in the solution? How we can take the this major ingredient. This is supposed to be dissolved in the liquid, and that is to be formed into solution. In this is the transparent solution, more like to be homogeneous form that's supposed to be obtained. That is known as the solution. Now second is the suspension form. Suspension is the mixture that the solid parts of the that supposed to be in the major ingredient. It is not soluble, but it is diluted in the form of the liquids also. That get the cloudy, non-transparent color. It also have to be obtained, but this is to be diluted in the form of like in the syrup formation is supposed to be taken medicine, and that is nothing but the suspensions which is there. That solid particle it does not affected by their activity, but it is only by dispersing the by that liquids which is used for the dilution, and it can be supposed to be used to decrease their concentration, and not directly used by any types of the that plants or the animals also. You remember that is known as suspension. Another is the emulsion. Emulsion is that generally occur when one liquid is dispersed. Other liquids, both the liquids can be interacted to each other. That's supposed to be get in the not in the soluble, but that becomes to be partly soluble to each other. Also, their own identity remains to be there, and emulsions have to be appearance. For example, soap you consider, soap in water, different types of the activities, but just when partly that soap has to be soluble in water, it can be get the interaction in that time. That solution is to be obtained in the foam-like form of the solution that you consider as emulsion. So this active ingredient is dissolved in oils also, types of the salts also, emulsifying agent also. That's supposed to be used, and that name is given as emulsion. Now also in the liquid formulation is also one of the process. When you take the pesticide, it dissolving water or another solvent is there, you also prepare the solution form. You can spray on the any types of the crops of the material, fruits are there, vegetable are there, and that is known as the liquid formulation. Dry or solid formulation, generally dry powders of the pesticide. Now generally sometimes it is dissolved in water, sometimes it is not like to be dissolved in water, and then it can directly like to concentrated by the inorganic salt is there. That inorganic salt is to be used for the dilution. For example, gypsum is there, gypsum powder. This is used for the dilution. This is inert form, chemically it is not active, and this also used by the in the formulation of the solid pesticides is supposed to be there, and then it can be used on the spray on the any types of the fruits, vegetable, and they are also have to be useful. So this way, these are the 5 types of types of formulation. You're supposed to ask an examination what are the major types of the formulation. So you're supposed to give the answer is there. And this is the what about the advantages and disadvantages of the agrochemical. Generally, agriculture industry is very big industry. Is near about I also discussed in the last time 70% peoples who are depends on the agriculture industries. This should be required in the sufficient foods are there. This is the one of the responsibility of the you consider in the agriculture industries are there universities different that is the pharma laboratories as well as some of the fertilizers also there as well as some types of the pesticide that have to be used with the yield of that food of the material by using to control the growth of the insects also, some types of the herbicides also, some types of the fungal growth is also there. It has to be controlled and then to increase the yield of that considered in the products is there. Now generally the farmers and gardeners use agrochemicals to grow bigger fruits, bigger vegetables. This is the first you also know that this is the increase the yield is there as well as some of the fertilizers they are also injected. So containing nutrients are present, that nutrients in the form of the pesticide. So that's supposed to be there, some salt is there, nitrogen are there. They mix in the soil and the pesticides that's supposed to be different types of herbicide, kill unnecessary weeds that is to be there, very important. That is in the common place in the considering like in the areas that also have to be used by the herbicide. Pesticide applied periodically to make the plant poisonous to insect. Generally, this is the use not in one times, but there are the different types that's supposed to be used. This is also poisonous to the insect also. You remember, an insect have to be killed down. That also have to be preserved by the plants or the fruits of the variety of the plants that have to be there. Growth regulators and stimulators must be brought in line with the yield. I already discussed. Crop yield is very important part. Advantages of the agrochemical. What are the disadvantages of the agrochemical? Repeated use of the agrochemical can balance in the pH of the soil. It is very important. pH of the soil have to be disturbed because of this is nothing but the chemicals. That is some acidic property, basic properties to be present. That also imbalance of the pH of the soil. Repeated use of pesticide increase the illness problem. More dangerous to developing. As you consider, it also cancer like disease also. Some of the pesticide is the chlorinated pesticide that's supposed to be there. Johnson syndrome is one of the example of pesticide and herbicide causing disease in humans also. So the memory have to be lost because of the types of the pesticides that is to be more dangerous. It also attack on the brains also. You consider some of the pesticides is also like to be contaminated in the form of the soil, water. That also get the adverse effect in the quality of the soil, quality of the water, and this is the like to be contaminated, circulated in the form of the drinking water. That also like in the human bodies as well as another also affected in the form of the agrochemical. Exposure to the herbicide and pesticide can cause miscarriage in the human bodies. Generally, is in the harmful effects can be created. Also, some types of the types of the herbicide is to be intact in their body, and it is directly get the strong effects it carried out. So these are some types of the examples you consider, like the DDT, Aldrin, Endosulfan, BSC. They are the traditionally that is to be used. Today also some types of pesticide that also used in the form of to control the different diseases. Today also these are the types of there is a pesticide. Today there is also modification. We'll like to introduce number of the tiny another types of the pesticide that have to be kept in the consider in the plants, and that have to the yields are there, minimum side effect also have to be understand. Can increase the yield, but the minimum environmental imbalance, and that's there. Precautions should be there. So these are the some example, and next time I also like to discuss what about their preparation method, properties, uses. Also ask in the examination is to be there. Thank